He thought it was just another ordinary school day, books in his bag, dreams in his head. But when a teacher opened his locker, everything changed. Inside wasn't just notebooks and pencils. It was something far darker, something that could destroy his future in a single breath. Whispers spread through the hallways, eyes turned cold, and the system was ready to label him guilty before he had a chance to speak. But what no one expected was the brilliant move he was about to make. Marcus was the kind of student every teacher remembered, not because he caused trouble, but because he worked harder than most. He was quiet, respectful, and carried the weight of expectations heavier than any backpack. At home, his mother reminded him daily that education was his ticket to a better life, and Marcus believed her. He spent late nights studying, even when exhaustion pressed hard on his eyelids, determined to prove himself in a world that often doubted kids like him. At school, though, things weren't always easy. Some classmates saw his focus and discipline as a threat. Whispers followed him in the cafeteria, mocking his dreams, questioning his place. And among them was Steve, the kind of bully who thrived on tearing others down. Steve's smirk carried the weight of envy, and his eyes tracked Marcus like a hunter waiting for the perfect moment. Marcus didn't know it yet, but the storm was already gathering. A single act of malice was about to turn his world upside down. What started as another morning of textbooks and lectures would soon become a test of strength far greater than anything he'd studied for. It began with whispers, small at first, then louder. By lunch, half the school seemed to know. Marcus was in trouble. He didn't understand why. He had followed his usual routine, books in hand, headphones in place, his world focused on keeping his grades high and his future brighter. But trouble has a way of finding those least deserving of it. That afternoon, the principal called him into the office. The walk down that hallway felt like a spotlight burning into his back. Students leaned in, some with pity, others with smirks. Steve, standing at the edge of the crowd, looked away, hiding a grin only Marcus would later understand. On the principal's desk sat a small plastic bag. Inside, something Marcus had never touched, never even seen up close. Drugs. His stomach dropped. His heart pounded. He couldn't breathe. The words hit like bullets. "This was found in your locker," Marcus stammered, but his voice broke under the weight of disbelief. "That's not mine." But the silence in the room told another story. His word against an object planted with care. His skin, his background, his place in the world, suddenly all of it weighed against him. Whispers became accusations. Teachers who once praised him looked at him differently now, hesitation in their eyes. Students avoided his desk. It didn't matter that Marcus had never been in trouble before. It didn't matter that his record was clean, his reputation flawless. The assumption lingered. Maybe this was who he really was, but Marcus knew the truth. And somewhere, he believed, there had to be proof. Late that night, replaying every detail, his mind landed on one thing. Steve, the way he hovered near the lockers that morning. The smirk he tried to hide when Marcus was summoned. Could it really be him? Determined, Marcus returned to school early the next day. The halls were quiet, lockers lined up like silent judges. He crouched by his own, searching for anything, fingerprints, evidence, a clue. That's when he noticed it, a phone left carelessly on the floor near Steve's locker. Marcus picked it up, hesitated, then unlocked it. What he saw made his hands tremble, a video, grainy but clear. Steve, laughing with another student, holding the very bag that ended up in Marcus's locker. The recording showed every move, the setup, the placement, the cruel joke meant to destroy him. Marcus's chest tightened. Relief mixed with rage. Here was the truth. But he also knew the danger. If Steve realized his mistake, if he discovered the phone missing, the evidence might disappear forever. Marcus had a choice: stay silent and hope for mercy, or step forward with the proof that could clear his name, or put him at even greater risk. And time was running out. The next morning, Marcus walked into the principal's office. Phone clutched so tightly his knuckles turned white. His heart hammered against his chest, every step echoing like a drumbeat of judgment. Teachers glanced at him as if expecting a confession, not the truth. Steve was already there, arms crossed, feigning innocence, his expression calm, smug even. The principal's voice was stern. "Marcus, this is your chance. Tell us the truth." Marcus's throat felt dry. For a split second, fear almost silenced him. What if no one believed him? What if Steve denied everything? What if the system, the same system that had already assumed the worst, chose the easy narrative over justice? With trembling hands, Marcus placed the phone on the desk. "Watch this." The room fell silent as the video played. Grainy footage, muffled laughter, but clear enough. Steve, grinning, holding up the bag before slipping it into Marcus's locker. The sound of his voice mocking, cruel. The principal's eyes widened. Teachers gasped. The mask of confidence slipped from Steve's face, replaced by panic. He stammered, trying to explain it away. "It was just a joke, I didn't mean—" But the damage was done. Marcus stood taller, his voice steady now. "You were willing to ruin my life. Just to laugh." The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone in the room. For Marcus, it was more than clearing his name. It was about exposing how easily he had been condemned, how quickly people believed the worst because of who he was. Steve's voice cracked. The principal's tone turned sharp. "This isn't a joke. This is expulsion." For the first time, Marcus saw fear in Steve's eyes, the same fear he himself had carried for days. But instead of satisfaction, Marcus felt something deeper. Exhaustion. The reality that one video saved him, but what about all those without proof? The phone screen dimmed. The silence was deafening. And Marcus realized this fight wasn't just his anymore. Marcus walked out of that office with his head high, but the victory felt heavier than he expected. Steve was expelled. The truth was clear, and Marcus's record was clean. But the scars ran deeper than any school report could measure. For days, he had lived under the weight of suspicion, judged before he could even speak because of the color of his skin. That kind of pain doesn't vanish when the truth comes out. It lingers. What stayed with Marcus wasn't just the betrayal of one bully, but the silence of so many who were ready to believe the lie. The way teachers looked at him, the way whispers spread through the hallways, the way no one thought to question Steve's story until the evidence forced them to. That silence, that willingness to assume guilt, isn't confined to a high school. It's the same silence that echoes through courtrooms, workplaces, and neighborhoods across America. Marcus's bravery didn't just save his future, it exposed something bigger. How fragile justice can be when prejudice is in the room. He proved his innocence, yes. But why should innocence have to be proven in the first place, when others are simply given the benefit of the doubt? He left that building knowing this was more than a personal victory. It was a reminder, a warning, and a challenge. Because for every Marcus who has a video, there are countless others who don't. And that question, how many voices are silenced, how many lives are broken, simply because no one bothered to listen? Marcus's story ended with truth revealed. But the bigger story? That's still being written. So the question isn't just what would you have done if you were Marcus? The question is, what will you do now that you know his story?